are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
What a beautiful day for horses in the morning.
You are listening to the #1 horse podcast in the world. Here's your entertaining look at the horse world and the people in it.
I am Glenn the Geek in Ocala, Florida.
And I am Jamie Jennings, and I'm in Norman, Oklahoma. You're listening to Horses in the Morning on the Horse Radio Network for Wednesday, November 20th, episode 3566, brought to you by our title sponsor, Poseidon Animal Health.
Ah, Wednesday, the day we cover Glenn's favorite topic, horse health. And Jamie makes you feel better about yourself with the latest weird news from around the world. Happy Wednesday.
That's right. It is Wednesday, and we're going to be talking about some fun stuff today. We're going to be talking about trick training in horses, and also one of our listeners requested that the health topic today be corneal abscesses.
So not fun for that one.
Yeah,
not fun at all.
It's a gross topic, but we'll be doing that. Do we have any weird news?
Oh, Lord have mercy. We have, let's see. Jolyn, Delia, Amy, Aaron, Sarah, Shelley, Laureen, Molly, Lisa, Kaylin, Alicia, Lindsay, Nicole, Danielle, and Michelle all sent weird news in, and about almost all of them said the same story.
Yes. Well, we're going to look forward to that today, too, at the end of the show. You know, last week we started the annual guessing game of the Hallmark Christmas movies, and I just give the titles and Jamie guesses what they are, and usually her version is better than what it actually is. But I saw this meme yesterday, and I loved it. Okay, now put your thinking caps on. Okay, pay attention to this one. I watched a Hallmark movie backwards. A woman in an ugly Christmas sweater dumped her loser small-town boyfriend to pursue a law career in New York City, where she lived happily ever after in pencil skirts and amazing shoes.
Yes. Go, girl, independent woman. Yeah.
I love that. Anyway, let's do some... we're going to talk Hallmark here, too, in just a second, because I'm excited to hear about this. Happy birthday to Jessica and Kayla. They're auditors of ours, and they have birthdays today. We wish you the happiest of birthdays. And now the part I got to hear about.
Daily Whitney goes to my sweet husband, who is trying so hard to keep me happy.
Do you just torture him on purpose?
I mean, I plead the fifth. So what happened is he'll turn on the TV and he'll it's time for bed. And I don't like to watch stressful things. So the other week he turned on Band of Brothers.
That's not stressful at all.
No. And then he put on the next night another movie that I was like, oh my God, you gotta turn this off. I can't take it. It was that movie with George Clooney and Brad Pitt, and they're serial killers. No, not going to bed with that. Sorry, I have too much emotional trauma to sleep through.
You can't sleep anyway.
Yeah. So what we've done is for the past couple nights, he's tried to be real sweet, and he has let me turn on a Christmas movie.
Oh, no.
Hallmark Christmas movie. But the problem for him is I fall asleep within about 5 seconds. And then he's stuck watching this stupid Hallmark movie until he can't take it anymore. So obviously I needed to talk about a movie that one of our auditors recommended. It's called, Glenn, you guess what you think this one is. It's called Hot Frosty.
Okay, so we just saw Frosty the Snowman again the other night. So it's a woman who comes across a snowman that was perfectly built by some gorgeous guy, but she puts the carrot in it. It didn't have a carrot in its nose. She puts the carrot in the nose, and the snowman comes to life.
Oh my God, you're so close. Okay.
Am I?
Small town, and there's an ice sculpture contest, and somebody did do a snowman, and the carrot makes me think the wiener, so I can't do that. But so what she does is somebody gives her a magic scarf. They give her the scarf, and they're like, "This is the scarf that I met when I was wearing my husband." And clearly, you're all alone. She's a widower, and like everything's terrible. And so she walks outside, and she sees these ice sculptures, and there's like a chiseled, beautiful man that has been carved into the ice. So she puts the scarf on him, and he comes to life. And of course, he doesn't have any clothes on, so he's naked when he's running around town.
Cold and frigid. If it's an ice sculpture,
Glenn.
Yeah,
it was possibly one of the worst things I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, whoever recommended that and the auditor, I'm going to find you. And because then once you get into it, I watched like 10 minutes and I'm like, oh my God, it's so terrible. And I had to turn it off because here's this guy trying to pretend like he's not a human. Like, oh my God, I'm so crazy. And he was in the show Schitt's Creek. And so I loved, that's why I started watching this. I was like, I love him. And like, it was the guy who played the vet in Schitt's Creek. And I was like, oh, I love him. And then like, no, it was terrible. So what happens is the next night, I'm like 10 minutes in, Chad's out of town. I'm like, maybe I'll try 10 more minutes. So I watched 10 more minutes of it. I'm like, God, this is the worst. Well, 2 nights ago, I finished it because I couldn't take it anymore. I just had to know. And it did not get better. Like it did not. And so Chad put on one a couple nights ago. And of course, I fell asleep within 5 seconds. And it was the guy who was the teacher in Glee. And I was like, oh, I love that guy. And so I click on it. Yeah, these people have like this career for a reason. They're taking these movies because nobody else will hire them. And he's a I can't remember the name of it, but it doesn't matter because I'm just going to describe it. He's a ballerina.
Okay.
And
do they call men ballerina? Is it?
I don't know. He's a male ballerina. Okay. If you want to gender specify this.
Shows you how much we know about ballet.
She is some sort of other job, and he gets called, and he's like the super greatest guy in the world because he's his uncle's emergency contact, and his uncle gets sick, so he has to fly to the small town, and then she has some emergency that she has to fly to the small town. He's like, they were the nicest people ever, like the most perfect humans in the world.
Please tell me they met at the Christmas tree store.
I think they met on the street because he saved her from stepping into a puddle.
No.
Yeah.
Right out of the 1930s.
He's like, it's the worst. He was like, how do people make these or watch it? Like, he was like, it was the worst thing I've ever seen. I'm like, no, watch Hot Frosty. You will feel much better about the ballerina male movie, the Mallerina. It was awful. Anyway, he's trying to be sweet because he tortured me for 2 nights in a row with serial killer movie and a band of brothers.
Oh, no. I got to tell you, I got a compromise for you. I talked about this before, but I finished it now. The In the Arena series about Serena Williams, the documentary. It's so good. It is so good. I mean, it is about tennis, but it's more about her and the struggles they went through coming up from Compton and doing all of that. And it talks about her dad too, was somewhat controversial. But I got to the part where she met her husband, who was the Reddit founder guy, and he is such a cool dude. And their story of how they met was hilarious. It was very cool. So I do recommend that one. Serena, it's called In the Arena, and it's on Hulu or Disney Plus. They're all the same now. So
I will check it out. I also, we watched the David Beckham one and really liked that and how he and Posh Spice met and everything. So it's really good. That guy's really good at soccer.
Yeah. So, I mean, I do recommend that one. It was good. All right. We have time for, I'll give you one. All right. I have the holiday movies right here. So I'll give you one before we get to our guest. How about, let's see, let's give you a good one. How about Holiday Mismatch?
Oh, Holiday Mismatch. So this is a actual movie that you want me to guess the plot line, but then you're going to tell me how much better mine would be.
Yes, correct. All of that.
Holiday Mismatch. Okay, so you've heard of the website Tinder and everything like that. So what happens is this guy, he swipes right on this girl and this girl swipes right on this guy. And so they set up a time to meet at a local restaurant in their small town. Actually, no, it's a big city. Big city. Okay, so they go into the restaurant. Yeah. And she's like, hi, are you David? And he's like, are you Christine? And she's like, yeah. And so they sit down and they start eating and they realize that immediately they like hit it off. But unfortunately, David, because she was like, you don't really look like your picture, but he was like better looking than the guy in the picture. So she did like, it had to happen. Well, it turns out Christine and David were also waiting for David and Christine. And so there's another couple named David and Christine in the restaurant. And so those two people end up hooking up, but they continue to message each other as the wrong person. And they're talking about, they're like, finally one is like, you know what? I just don't even know who you are anymore. And she's like, I am heading to my mother's house for Christmas, small town. Well, the real David can't figure out, the real David she ate with can't figure out like what happened and why this girl ghosted him, because the other couple didn't really work out, but obviously online he's the wrong David. So she's like, I'm going to my mother's house. And so she flies to this small town in upstate New York. And so then the other David's like, this girl has ghosted me. I got to find her, and contacts all her friends. And they're like, you're a jerk. And he's like, but it wasn't me. They're like, you need to go get her. And so he hops a plane. They tell her where to go, and he hops a plane and goes up to upstate New York, where she's like, you're a jerk. And he's like, it wasn't me. Look, you swiped right on the wrong person. Holiday mismatch. Boom, they fall in love. Everything works out.
Yours is
Happily
much better. You really should submit that for next year, because you need to write to Hallmark, because that was much better.
That was really good, right?
Yeah,
I have had
that was
too
pretty
much
good. You need to submit that one. No, holiday mismatch. New retiree Barb joins a holiday committee, but clashes with longstanding member Kath. When they realize Kath,
she's the worst.
When they realize their kids have started dating, they conspire to break up the happy couple. There's a happy holiday movie right there.
I'm sorry. Can I say bitches on the air? What horrible mothers.
Attention horse lovers, do you want your horse to perform at its best? Poseidon Animal Health has the veterinarian recommended supplements to keep your equine friend feeling their best. Is your horse stressed by travel or competition, or does your horse have one of those, intrusive mothers? Our stress pace can help them stay calm and focused. Worried about your horse's digestion? Digestive HP and our Gut Health Reset Pack can promote a healthy gut and keep your horse feeling their best. Poseidon Animal Health products are trusted worldwide by Olympic athletes and Jamie, giving your horse the same champion treatment. Visit PoseidonAnimalHealth.com today.
Let me just tell you, but real quick. So Raisin, bless his little heart, has decided to start cribbing, and that's not fun. And I didn't have a cribbing collar or anything. And you guys, I am not a vet, and this is not veterinarian recommended, but oh my God. So he started colicking, but it's like, I could hear the gas in his belly. Like he had sucked too much wind. He didn't have a collar on yet. And so I gave him stress paste. And I swear to God, 10 minutes later, he was okay. Don't listen. Don't do that. Call the vet. But like for real, I gave him the stress paste and he was fine. Now he wears a cribbing collar and life has gone on happily ever after. Don't do that. Don't listen to me. But it was amazing.
But it worked for her. That's all we're saying.
Worked for Hazen. And remember, he's a very strange, odd little bird.
We get new stories about him every day.
Why does a horse start cribbing at 4 when they're turned out in the field? I don't know. Can't figure it out. He's been here 3 months. Never cribbed.
Well, our first guest today is going to be talking about trick training, and she has a website called Horse Tricks 101. Her name is Noche Miller, and it's so good to have you on today. This is something I do with my Hackney pony because he gets bored really easy, and he loves adventure stuff. So I'm excited to talk to you about it today.
Well, thank you. I'm so glad to be here. Tricks are so much fun for those busy-minded little horses that enjoy adventure stuff.
We have a ton of listeners that we found out over the years that don't ride, but they love doing fun stuff like this. They do enhanced stuff. They do liberty stuff. They don't ride for whatever reason. They got, they're injured in some way or something like that. Where are you located, by the way?
Well, I am located in Nebraska, but the Horse Tricks Club has members from all over the world. The Horse Tricks Club team, me and one other lady here in Nebraska, and then the other two are from Australia. And we have members in America, Australia, Canada, England, Germany, France. We are all over the place.
So I guess
online.
I guess the first question then is, what's the Horse Tricks Club?
The Horse Tricks Club is Horse Tricks 101. We are an online trick training course. We use reward-based training to teach our horses all sorts of fun tricks. And those tricks can be just tricks for people who don't ride their horses. I mean, tricks are a wonderful way to spend time with your horses, to build a bond, to give you two something to do together. But tricks can also be a way to get horses ready to or better at riding. Tricks can be used to improve any sort of training that we are doing with our horses.
And so how did you get involved in it? Why did you get involved in it?
I got a little rescue horse that I volunteered to foster. They said that he did not respect personal space, and I thought that I would have no trouble dealing with that. I knew how to train horses. I could fix him. And when he got here, it turned out that I couldn't fix him. He would walk right through the middle of you, didn't care. He bit, he did pretty much everything. He was borderline dangerous to handle on the ground. And at one point, I saw a lady teach her horse to fetch. And I thought, wow, this horse bites anyway. Why not make some use of that? So I went looking for someone to help me teach my horse fetch and found Horse Tricks 101, Horse Tricks Club, and joined and never looked back. By teaching him tricks, by putting the fetch, the biting on cue, instead of just whenever he felt like it, we taught him not to bite anymore. And now he just sits there and wiggles his lips, waiting for me to bring food to them. He knows how to fetch. He loves to fetch. So it's not that he stopped biting. It's just he does it when I want him to now. He went from being dangerous to handle on the ground to the one that I let my small children at the time walk underneath and didn't worry about at all. He is so completely and perfectly safe.
So
and
that leads me to ask, can any horse learn to do tricks?
Oh, goodness, yes. Any horse at all. I have a 2-year-old, barely halter broke stud colt here right now that I'm starting to work on, and I will be hand feeding him. By teaching tricks and hand feeding, we teach the horses to accept treats politely and kindly, and it makes them much safer to handle, and we can hand feed them then without worrying about our fingers or teaching bad manners. Very old horses can learn new tricks. Horses who are stall-bound, stall rest, tricks are wonderful for them to get them something to break up the boredom and keep them from going insane, having to stand still there. Any horse at all can learn tricks, and even cows can learn tricks. Any animal at all can learn tricks. I have a cow that I've done trick training with since she was a bottle calf, and she set a Guinness World Record for most tricks by a cow a couple of years ago.
Is that right? Are you in the book?
Yeah,
you're official.
I am. I'm official in this year's book.
The only tricks our cows learned was how to break the fence and get to the neighbor's house. That was the only trick our cows learned. They had that one down pat, though, every day. It's like we could not keep those cows in. So what is the most elaborate trick you've ever taught a horse?
Oh, my. Well, my horse, Rusty, my little rescue pony, he helps me with laundry. He picks clothes up out of the laundry basket and hands it to me to hang out on the clothesline. But he also, one of my favorite Rube Goldberg type mounting tricks is to stand on something. I can stand on 2 hay bales close together, or my favorite is my pickup pulled up to a loading chute for cattle. And then I stand between them and I can send him around and he walks underneath me and picks me up.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's kind of cool. So you mentioned about, there's people, I know one of them in particular, there's people who believe that all hand feeding can lead to biting. How do you hand feed and teach them not to bite or get nippy?
That is one of the strongest and worst beliefs in the horse world. Yes, if we hand feed badly, we can very much teach our horses to bite. It is a skill and a lesson the horses need to learn and that people need to learn. But treat manners, the ability of the horse to stand quietly next to you and not mug you for food, not try to bite you, not cause trouble, is the first and most important thing that we work on. And we do that by standing next to the horse or not next to the horse. The best way to start, if you've never done this before, is to stand on the other side of a fence from your horse and wait until the horse looks away from you, even for a second. And then you click, you give them the marker that means the food is coming, and give them the reward. And by only feeding them when they are not mugging you for food, and only feeding them after they've received the marker or the click that means the food is coming, they learn that there's not going to be food any other time, no matter how much they ask you for it, no matter how obnoxious they are. That the best way to earn a treat is to stand quietly and not have their nose anywhere near you.
And that follows. Shauna Koresh was friends of ours and was one of the first to start teaching this one years and years
She's
and years
wonderful.
ago, right? And that's exactly, how she teaches it. So if people want to join the Horse Tricks Club, what do they do?
Well, you can go to horsetricks101.com, and we have a wait list right there that you can sign up for. We will be opening again for new members in January. And if you want to learn about us before then, we have some video courses, lessons available. There, you can get them at the website. We have a YouTube channel, Horse Tricks 101 on YouTube, that you can follow to see what we get up to. We have all kinds of fun videos up there from us and from our members. And of course, we are on Facebook at Horse Tricks 101.
Very good. Well, we appreciate you stopping by and letting us know all about this. Again, the website is horsetricks101.com. Thanks for joining us today. You have a good holiday, too. Have a good Thanksgiving. You. So there you go. Horse Tricks 101. Scooter may do a few tricks, too.
I am... I'm cool. I'm being cool.
Monty does not believe in hand feeding. However, half the population does. And this is one where Jamie and I do not agree on a topic.
No, it's not that, Glenn. It's not, because I think if you can responsibly teach your horse to not mug you, which is what
she was
Shauna
talking
talks about
and
in the first one, which is why it can be irresponsible to say, I can teach a horse not to bite by giving it treats without explaining why. So I am glad that she explained why, and glad she talked about staying on the opposite side of the fence, because there are horses that are incredibly dangerous. I get so many off the track thoroughbreds who they just give them peppermints.
Oh,
and so the horses learn to bug you.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Yeah. You hear a crinkle and they're like, oh my God. And they go to attack you. So keep in mind that if you are going to treat train, you need to learn how to do it.
It's
the Shauna Koresh way.
Right, it's what she said.
Way,
and I learned that early on because Jennifer was an early advocate back 20 years ago for clicker training, was one of Shauna's first people. And when I did it wrong, she was always like, nope. They have to be looking away. You never give them the treats when they have to be looking away and do whatever you wanted them to do. So that was the key.
Yeah. So Helena adopted an off-the-track thoroughbred through me and to send it up there, and the mare did not bite or mug you or anything like that. And she started clicker training it. And the first day I was like, she's posted, and I love that she posted the beginning all the way through videos, because she started posting the videos and I was like, whoa, that mare did not behave like that when she was here. I swear to God. But as she morphed it into teaching the horse to not mug her, I was like, oh, thank God she knows, because you can do it in a way that is very harmful. Or you horse people, just give him peppermint, just throw it at him. We'll keep him from rearing up in the air, But there's a way that you can do it to cause the horse to be respectful. And it was fun to watch the transformation that she had with that mare through the first to the second, third, fourth, fifth, and then to watch the progress of it. So just know that when somebody says, oh, you can treat train a horse that bites, there's a way to do it. There's just that can be a very irresponsible thing if you are not doing it the way that she finally prescribed. Yeah, you have to be trained. I mean, it's like the stuff that I do. I have to be trained to train the horses to do what I do, just like anybody does.
If you weren't trained, the stuff that you do would be very dangerous.
Yeah, because you can get yourself in trouble. You can get yourself in the wrong position. You can get yourself in the wrong spot. You can.
And it took years to get the certification you have. I mean, without that, you'd be dead now. Doing what you do.
Yeah, I wouldn't walk up to that mule and throw a saddle on her and pick up her back feet if I didn't know I was in the right spot or know how to read the horse and know what I was doing. So training is the most important thing, I think, with any of these methods. Yeah, it's the human training, not just the animal training. So sorry, I was that quiet.
We agree on. We agree. We actually do agree. On this. It has to be done right. Yeah,
it has to be done right. And like I said, it was just irresponsible to say you can do it, but you have to without saying how.
Right, and I hadn't asked her how. So at that point. So in any case, want a purple saddle? They have them right now
What?
at statelinetac.com. Yes. Purple
Do I want a
saddles.
purple saddle? Yes. Of course I do.
I mean,
Where?
a bright purple saddle or a bright blue saddle. Some of the Western saddles now are just something. So right now they have Western saddles and tack on sale at statelinetac.com. Appropriate right before the holidays.
Is it on the front page? A Western tack. Okay.
Yeah.
Click.
It's
Oh my
purple.
gosh.
It's very purple. It's a barrel saddle too, actually. They have so many different kinds. It used to be Western saddles were Western saddles, but there are so many different kinds of Western. There's 74 pages of Western saddles and tack on sale right now over at statelinetac.com. So if you're looking for something for a gift, or let's face it, you're just looking for something for yourself for a gift, then you can head on
King
over
Series
right now.
Stratford barrel saddle. Look at that purple nightmare. I love it.
Do you know what they have that I think are cool? Is there are some of the coolest saddlebags in the world now. Some of the saddlebags are so cool and so detailed and so much fun. Jennifer actually used the saddlebag when she was fox hunting with her English saddle. They make them for those too.
Yeah, I can see carrying an English saddle in a saddlebag. I can't lift a damn Western saddle anyway.
You'd have to put the saddlebag on after with the beers inside.
I'll put this saddle in the bag and then put it in a wheelbarrow.
Because, some of these saddlebags, they even advertise that you can fit a 6-pack on each side. So there you go. Drink responsibly, people.
Your horse getting drunk, broke.
Western Saddles and Tack right now on sale at statelinetac.com. And of course, State Line is our title sponsor for Radiothon, and we really do appreciate them. We're going to be giving away a $50 State Line gift certificate every hour during Radiothon. So join us then. Now we're going to be...
Why is it purple one got to be a youth saddle?
I know.
K-Series Youth Stratford. Oh... This Horse Health Report is brought to you by Daily Dose Equine, non-GMO core nutrition for horses and ponies of all ages. I am pleased to welcome to the show today Dr. Pierce of the Veterinary Vision Center in Shreveport, Louisiana. Dr. Pierce, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So are you a specialist in eyes, or are you a veterinarian, or what's your title there?
Yeah, so I'm a combination of both. I am a veterinarian first. I got my veterinary education from Louisiana State University, and then pursued specialty training, small animal internship at the University of Tennessee, ophthalmology specialty internship in Southern California, and then ophthalmology residency at Michigan State, and completed that and have been an veterinary ophthalmologist for over 17 years. And then I've kind of traveled all across the nation, from being in academia at LSU right after residency to private practice in New Jersey and in Dallas, and then opened up Veterinary Vision Center in Shreveport, Louisiana, servicing this underserved region of the United States. And currently I'm the only specialist in this region, covering northern Louisiana, eastern Texas, and southern Arkansas. So.
Wow, you're an eyeball guy. I mean, good Lord, you know a lot about eyeballs if you do all that. That's amazing. So do you say you do mostly small animal, or do you do large animal as well?
Small, large, as well as some exotics. Not many exotics in this region, but we do see them, but definitely on a daily as well as weekly basis, get a fair bit of equine cases, where we see out of Red River Equine in Benton, Louisiana there.
Okay, well,
classmate of mine owns that practice. Sorry.
Oh, that's nice. That's cool. So you study eyeballs. I've been told, as a horse person, and like we talked about before we came on, I've spent a vet bill on every single thing horses can do. But the one thing I do know is that if it's an eyeball, call the vet.
Yes, definitely. If there's any eye-related issue, I mean, your first line of defense is definitely your primary veterinarian, then, your specialist. But in any situation, definitely when we're dealing with the eye, even if it's your own personal eye, don't wait. That's the biggest advice I can give, and best advice is, if there's a problem, get it checked out right away. We're dealing with not only our pet's vision, but sometimes even their quality of life, and that can really be affected and change the trajectory of how we manage them, how we keep them moving forward. So definitely get it checked out as soon as possible.
One of our listeners requested we talk about corneal abscesses. Now, I do know what a corneal ulcer is. Is an ulcer as an abscess, an ulcer that's gone wrong?
In some instances, yes. So an abscess is almost just like, I would think of it almost like a pimple on your skin. So it doesn't necessarily need to actually have an external break on the surface for it to develop, but it is mainly just an accumulation of white blood cells in reaction to some organism, whether it's bacteria or fungus, or sometimes there isn't a specific organism, but our immune system just comes into aggressive to address said problem and develops this accumulation of cells that causes not only inflammation within the cornea, but potential damage to the eye itself.
Dr. Pierce, I hate abscesses in feet. I can't imagine that in an eyeball. That's just grossing me out over here.
Glenn, this is perfect for you. We're talking about pus in an eyeball.
I'm out. I'm just...
So what do you do for a corneal abscess then?
I don't want to know. La 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 la.
You leave.
Yeah, so it's not like it's not fully like the skin. Like we don't want to just go to the cornea of your horse and like try to pop it and express. So there's definitely a couple of ways that we address it. By far, the main way is with topical medications there. So whether it's a combination of antibiotics or as well as antifungal drops, even anti-inflammatories, as well as a combination of oral meds as well, just depending on what's going on within the cornea and how we could get drugs delivered to this area of interest. Part of the issue is with our corneas, which allows us to see evolutionarily, is that our corneas are clear, they're transparent, and they are void of blood vessels and any other thing that can obscure our vision. That's great, and that's what we need. But when a problem develops, when an abscess develops, then that lack of blood vessels or lack of access to the immune system getting to said area of interest right away and resolving it allows these abscesses or organisms to develop, proliferate, and become very problematic until the immune system is there at a point in time to be able to do something about it. So that is some of the kind of problem. And then horses in particular are unique in that they like to allow fungus to harbor in their cornea. It pretty much down to the very innermost layer of the cornea called Descemet's membrane. And that's mainly due to the collagen and glycosaminoglycan makeup of the cornea compared to like sheep and goats and cows that live in the same environment as these horses, but we don't see nearly as much fungal abscesses or ulcers in horses in other species as we do in horses.
Yeah, so they have a special talent of trying to hurt themselves extra.
Yeah.
Apparently, biologically, that's true too.
Yeah, exactly. So is there a different treatment for horses versus other animals?
So, horses with abscesses, there's a couple measures that we do that's a little bit more than what we would typically do. One, the other aspect of it is not in our like sheep and goats or cows that get abscesses. One, they don't get it as often, and two, they kind of typically can be addressed medically. In horses, some of the issue is also balancing their pain and discomfort and the inflammation that the eye develops there, right? Sometimes the eyes will be so inflamed and so painful that even trying to medically manage or even just medicate the horse in general can be, very risky for your own safety, for the horse's safety, as well as just trying to, resolve the problem. Medical therapy can take, 4 to 6 weeks or longer, depending on, what it is that we're dealing with. And then some of the things that we do differently for horses with abscesses is actually surgically to cut the cornea, punch out the area or the abscess of interest or what have you, and then try to patch that portion of tissue that we take out. And the whole goal of that is we're removing, if not all, the vast majority and bulk of this disease that is causing major problems, stimulating the immune system, causing a lot of inflammation within the eye, in an effort to not only calm down that inflammation, but also speed up the healing time. Typically with surgery, even though it might be a pricier expense compared to medical management, will yield a lot quicker results of resolution, less time having to medicate potentially, and then a more successful outcome for not only resolving the abscess, but having a visual eye at the end of the problem. Sometimes as we medically manage some of these abscesses, again, we might be treating this eye for 2 months. 2 months of inflammation in the eye or any body organ is going to cause a fair bit of scarring and damage. And sometimes that can be enough to where we resolve the abscess, but the eye only has light perception and can't fully see, or we've significantly reduced vision in that eye. And granted, some clients in some situations, financially going to surgery is outside of everyone's budget, which is totally understandable.
Okay.
So medical management is still a viable option.
Dr. Pierce,
Yes,
I got to say,
right.
as a horse husband, I'm going to ask the question that we ask every Wednesday when we do these health segments is, why do we own horses? Why do we do this to us?
Now, back to what he was saying, Glenn, because we're going to own horses no matter what. So because when you're treating an eyeball, for those who haven't had to do it, I mean, it's every 2 hours for the first week and every 4 hours after that. And even with the lavage system in, those horses can become, they're not happy to see you. Like you walk in the barn, they are not happy to see you, even with the lavage system. So surgery is an option for pretty much, is surgery an option for scratches as well, or just the abscesses?
So for corneal ulcer or a scratch, it depends on the integrity of the cornea, how it looks, and if surgery is warranted or not. Typically with an ulcer, in really broad general terms, if we have an ulcer that is kind of eating away or digesting the cornea, once we get past half of the thickness of the cornea that's involved, and we started to get like 60, 70, 80% of the cornea that's been eaten away, then we're needing to do surgery to not only kind of clean up the wound, but also kind of restore the thickness of the cornea that's been eaten away, because that cornea, as it's becoming thinner, is weaker, and that can easily lead to rupture of the cornea or hole in the cornea because of how the globe is pressurized, as well as the extraocular muscles that the horse has as they are moving their eye around is creating a lot more pressure on the cornea and on that weak spot. So it's almost can act as like a hinge or a fulcrum.
Glenn, I know you're grossed out, but this is so fascinating.
Well, what I want to know, what my next logical question would be is, okay, so let's say the medication works or the surgery or whatever. What about reoccurrence?
Mm-hmm.
We see, I've had horses that are abscess prone, right? They're getting abscesses all the time in their feet. So is that true of the eyeball too, or do you not see that as often?
So not so much, not as common as we see with horses that get, hoof abscesses or what have you. There is always a possibility that a new abscess can develop in a cornea, maybe in a different location from where the initial one developed. It also depends on, sometimes with the cause of the abscess forming. But it's not guaranteed that if your horse has a corneal abscess, that is going to develop another one, or is going to develop the other one in the contralateral eye.
Well, that's good news.
Now, I say that to say we all have these stories, as specialists of that one horse, right? And I'll give you an example. There's a horse that I saw out here developed a small abscess, which is perfect for doing surgery. The smaller it is, the earlier intervention, the better, right? Took it to surgery, punched out the abscess, put down the new flap of cornea over it, healed up beautifully, eye still visual. 3 years later, the horse developed an ulcer at the edge of where the surgery was performed, and that started to eat away at cornea to where the horse needed a different type of surgery to perform to patch that area that has got eaten away. So it wasn't a new abscess, but it was a new kind of ulcer type of problem that led to the cornea being digested at the same location of where we did surgery.
Can I just say, Dr. Pierce, though, that's amazing that this surgery even is there and is successful and that you can do it. I mean, that's just amazing. 20 years ago, you'd taken the eye out, right? So it's a whole different ballgame now. It's amazing that you can do this stuff. It's just medicine has come so far.
And I would tell you, your horse's eyes look terrible when they are inflamed, and when they have abscesses, you'll see all kind of colors: yellow, green, red, blue, the whole shebang, all within the cornea. And you would think, my God, how can this eye be turned around? And with the proper medication, proper intervention, and time and diligence of the horse owner administering these medications, it will pay off, and these eyes can turn around and go back to being clear and go back to being sighted too. So even though it's hard to see the forest from the trees when you're presenting your horse to your ophthalmologist or to your doctor, and the eye is got the rainbow of colors in its cornea there, it can definitely turn around. You just got to be willing to go through the labor, go through the fight. Yeah, put in the time, and it can change.
So with this, give me a little bit of hope. Is there anything that we can do to prevent corneal abscesses? He's going to say no.
Yeah, there was hesitation there.
If I knew that miracle cure, no. So I think, as we are dealing with our horses, so one is definitely on a daily basis, look at their eyes, right? Don't blow off times when they're tearing a little bit more and assume, it's just the wind or it's allergies or what have you. If they've been rolling around, their face is dirty, they're tearing a little bit, they got a lot of kind of discharge coming from their eyes. Take a bottle of eye wash that you get from the drugstore, over the counter eye wash, and just like rinse their eye. They may not like it or whatever, but give them some additional kind of flush out any debris that may be there. Horses do good with tearing, and they produce a fair bit of tears to kind of clear off the debris that they have, that they may accumulate. So sometimes they do it for us. The other advice I would say is, if you have lubricants, either gels or ointments, like those won't ever hurt. So if your horse is prone to constantly getting stuff in their eye, artificial tear ointment will be helpful. To, again, just kind of make things oily. That may reduce some of the irritation factor. Probably the best intervention is early intervention on the owner's part, right? If you notice something, do something. Like either that day call somebody or the next day get your horse evaluated either by your vet or to an ophthalmologist. Definitely, if you have an ophthalmologist in your area and your horse has got eye problems and your vet has recommended that you see an ophthalmologist, don't skip on that. There is significant value in ophthalmologists looking at your horse's eye and giving their recommendations. It's always up to the owner to decide on if they're going to pursue and follow those directions or not. But that valuable information that ophthalmologists and specialists can bring just adds to your ability to make objective decisions for your horse and what you want to do.
And with that voice, if you told me to do it, I would do it. I mean, good Lord, you could read the phone book. Well, veterinaryvisioncenter.com is where you want to go to learn more about Dr. Pierce, to get in touch with him if you have any questions or anything. And thank you for doing what you do. I know I saw a veterinary ophthalmologist when I lived in Phoenix for a small animal. And I mean, problems that we chased for a month were gone almost instantly by using a actual ophthalmologist. So you guys have forgotten more about eyeballs than anybody else. So anybody else would know. So I appreciate what you do, and thank you. And thank you for coming on the show and talking about it. And thank you for grossing Glenn out. This is fantastic.
Yeah, well, he succeeded. Just thanks, Dr. Pierce.
Well, and I have one other plug just for your membership. So I also started a company called Vespacon, spelled VESPECON, which stands for Veterinary Specialty Consultants. And we are basically a network of veterinary specialists of all fields for large, small, and exotic animals, where your veterinarians can actually consult with the specialist or multiple specialists at a time and no charge to the client and get that specialist level advice right there. So
and with the lack of veterinarians around now, there's so few anymore.
Exactly.
What is it? Let me write that down. Is it Vespacon?
Yeah. VESPECON.com.
Okay.
And on our website, you can see our team. We have, like I said, even larger animal. We have equine criticalists, internists, surgeons, as well as sports medicine and rehabilitationists, and then all other specialties, ophthalmology, oncology, dermatology that your horse may need. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach us on Vespacon.com. You can hit contact and ask whatever questions that you may have about our membership subscription option as well as our a la carte use option. But we basically try to make it super easy for veterinarians to have access to a whole network and team of specialists in their area for their clients.
That's fantastic. Wow, that's fantastic. What a good service. Vespacon.com. Thank you, Dr. Pierce, for coming on and talking to us, and I look forward to having you on again.
Oh, yeah, you're very welcome. Anytime.
Wow, he's fascinating. What a fascinating... the topic was a little gross, but
when
he was fascinating.
When he talked about the cornea eating itself, I was like, this is the best. Pus in an eyeball where the eyeball starts to eat itself.
We should have had a warning on today's show. If you're eating lunch, please. Now we just have to say, if you were eating lunch, please forgive us and come back Friday.
It's the holiday weight loss program. We're
you
fasting
should know.
Before Christmas.
Anybody that's been a long time listener knows Wednesdays, half an hour into the show, is going to be gross. So it's just the way it is.
Frightening.
And we're going to continue the gross right after these messages from our sponsors when we do some weird news.
I'm here with the mad scientist who developed Daily Dose Equine Horse Feeds, Janet Geyer. And I wanted to have a quick chat with you because Daily Dose Equine Horse Feed are non-GMO whole food nutrition based. And a lot of people go, oh, that comes from a small dedicated feed mill. I won't be able to get that when I travel. They're wrong, aren't they?
They are. You can get it through Chewy anywhere in the United States. Or if you live locally in Maryland and Northern Virginia, you can get it delivered.
There you go. Chewy.com. It will deliver it anywhere you want. You can also schedule delivery in advance so you can have it delivered every X number of days. And you can go in there to your account and change it every time you move horse show venues. So check it out today, dailydoseequine.com online or chewy.com.
For first-time horse owners and new riders, finding the information and support you need can be challenging. That's why Equine Network has partnered with Sentinel and Absorbine to bring you My New Horse. From important horsekeeping information and how-to videos to social media communities, exclusive experiences, and more, My New Horse is your one-stop shop for riders of all levels and disciplines looking for easy-to-understand horse care information and guidance. Start your horse ownership journey today. Visit mynewhorse.com.
Time to learn why some days you're embarrassed to be part of the human race. In Jamie's Weird News.
The headline on this first one just tickles me. Okay, I would like to thank these people for helping. If you're looking around and whatever news you look at and you think, oh my God, that's so weird, email it to me, weirdnews@horseradionetwork.com. That's right. We got a fancy email just for this. And I would like to thank Jolynn, Delia, Amy, Aaron, Sarah, Shelley, Laureen, Molly, Lisa, Kaylin, Alicia, Lindsay, Nicole, Danielle, and Michelle. I mean, that is a collection of messages. And this one, oh my God. Okay. Glenn, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. Sorry you were quiet. So this guy in Scotland decided he was going to rob a bank, Glenn. And so his name is Matthew Davies. And he walks into the bank in Dunfermline, Fife. He just got like a arraigned. The crime happened in September, but he just got like arraigned or whatever in prison. So, because he did get caught. Shocker, newsflash, this robber got busted. So he's 47 years old and he walks into a bank and he has a pillowcase with him, and he walks to the bank and he pulls pillowcase.
Oh,
like a pillowcase.
Okay.
And he pulls out of the pillowcase a meat cleaver. And he's like, "Give me the money." And then he realizes his face is on camera. So he then takes the pillowcase and puts it over his head to hide his identity. So he's like, "Hey, give me all your money." Where I can't see anything. He then had to realize he never put eye holes in the pillowcase.
This is not a well thought out robbery. Drugs are bad.
Davies enters the Bank of Scotland. He pulls the meat cleaver from the pillowcase before putting the betting item on to cover his face. They said in the article, but the failure to create eye holes meant he had to take it off. He goes up to a woman and he's like, "Give me some money." And she gave him like $300 pounds. And like, he's like, "No, give me more." So then he starts battering the plastic, cover in front of her window, like with the meat cleaver. And she gives him like $2,000 more. So this idiot can't keep the pillowcase on because he never cut eye holes in it. So he takes all the money and shoves it and the meat cleaver back in the pillowcase. And he walks out the door, gets in his car, and drives home. Well, one of the people that was in the branch, they're like, "I'm going to follow him home." So she gets in her car and drives and follows this guy home, calls the police and says, "Hey, I'm here with that guy who just robbed the bank with a pillowcase with no eye holes and a meat cleaver." And so the police show up and they find in his living room a pillowcase full of money and a meat cleaver.
They don't fool around in Scotland. You can't. There's no crap over there. They're just...
No, he's in jail.
I don't think we'd find too many bank tellers following people home from the bank robbery in the United States, but in Scotland, we don't put up with crap.
Let's just follow and see what happens. I mean, what could possibly go wrong?
He didn't have a gun, so he wasn't going to shoot at her, right? He could.
Yeah, he had a meat cleaver. Oh, when they got home, they did find he had a stun gun as well. So, I mean, obviously he was going to hurt some people. So that pathetic loser sound effect that you have is for that one and for this next one.
Okay.
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
Okay, go ahead with the next one.
And guess where we're going?
Florida.
You got it, baby. So this man, his name is Everett Brown, and he's 59 years old. And he was in his house. And this loser teenage 14-year-old boy comes in and attacks him, like burglarizes his home, sees that Everett Brown is home and hits him with like a broom or something. I mean, just like kind of attacks him and starts robbing him. And the kid, his name is Philip Sutton III. He kicked in the door, hit him with a broom handle, blah, blah, all this. Anyway, so Everett Brown calls 911. And they get there pretty quick and they see the kid, so they arrest the kid. And so they come into Everett Brown's house and they're like, "What are you doing?" He was like, "I was just attacked." "Yeah, okay, so you're under arrest." And he's like, "What?" "You're under arrest also, so you're going to get in the car too." He's like, "Oh, man, I should have hit all that cocaine." He calls the police. They come over and he's got like pounds of cocaine on his coffee table, Glenn.
Wonder why the guy was there to rob him.
I know, right?
All right, yeah, he deserves the loser sound effect. That's for sure. That's funny. Only in Florida. Well, I'd say that, but it's not true anymore.
This one's a horse one. I got a horse story for you. This is on the Pollock Report, actually. A trainer named Jesse Compton. He had a horse that was running. Let me find you the horse's name. Sissaway Now. Okay. Sissaway Now was running, and at the track, I'll get to that in a second, was running and came in second place. And they usually test the winner for drugs now with the HISA laws and rules, and they randomly test another horse as well. So Sissaway Now pops for a drug test. So they take her in, and it's a gelding. They take him in, and turns out he's positive for cannabidiol metabolite, which is a Class B controlled medication violation. Basically, THC. Okay,
so say, it's just pot.
Yeah, so it's pot. So Jesse Compton gets suspended for 5 days and faces a $1,000 fine. Well, he decides that he is going to fight it. And they have to hire an arbitrator, and he goes to arbitration, and he's like, I didn't give him that. And they're like, well, then how did he get it? Do you want to guess?
Smoke thing?
Do you want to guess?
Secondhand smoke?
I mean, again, the trainer, this is what the trainer said.
Okay.
Sisaway now got loose and ran away from the track and was gone for 45 minutes. And he found Sisaway now in a marijuana field grazing.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's how he popped for the, see what happened was he said he got away. It was gone for 45 minutes before they could find him. And he was eating, and they noticed that he was maybe grazing in a marijuana field. Now, did they think to maybe not run him that week? No, probably didn't do that. But yeah, so they said, yeah, I say he was grazing. Turns out that actually, if apparently you can't test positive for what he tested for if they were actually eating plants, because it would be more hemp, and that is a different kind of cannabis than the one he tested for. So I don't know how the horse got high, but the horse was high, and he's suspended and in trouble and has penalty points, fines, and suspensions.
Got the brownies mixed up with the horse treats.
Yeah, pretty much. That sounds like it. It sounds like what happened. The first money was returned. Sisaway now was disqualified. And Pollock report bringing the hard-hitting news. See, what happened was I found him in the field and there was marijuana.
That's like when they pull the guy over and he's got, cocaine in his pocket and he says, that isn't mine. I don't know how it got there.
It's not mine. The last one. Oh, it's Pathetic Loser Day is what it is, actually.
They've all been that so far.
Okay, we're going to go to Los Angeles. So all those names I mentioned, about 95% of those people sent me the same story. So I'm ending with it today. Okay, so you know that there's remember I did that news story about the bear getting into that lady's car in the driveway and then going through the window into the house? So bears are really taking off in urban areas in California. And in Los Angeles, they've seen a lot of bears breaking into cars. But what happened was, anytime I have to say, see what happened was, it's going to be stupid. Okay, so there's an individual who has a Rolls Royce, and the Rolls Royce was broken into by a bear, Glenn.
He's good taste.
The bear ripped up the ceiling and the thing. Anyway, so they submit a claim to insurance like, hey, my car got destroyed by a bear. Easy, right?
Yeah.
And so that person submits that. And then another person also submitted that their car, which was a Mercedes, got a bear inside it. And then another person that had a brand new Mercedes got a bear inside that one. And then another person that had a really fancy car had a bear broken into that one. And guess what? Ring camera caught it. And so this individual who had their Rolls Royce broken into by a bear submitted to the insurance company the Ring video. So it was suspicious. So they sent it off to a wildlife animal person, and they reviewed the video, and they're like, that's not a bear. That's a human in a bear costume.
It was a scam?
It has been a scam. The insurance companies have paid up to $150,000 to these 4 individuals who are all making claims with different insurance companies with their luxury cars being attacked by bears. Each person submitted a video of the bear in their car. Okay. Wow. I watched the video. You've got to be real stupid to think that you were going to get away with this. It was unbelievable. I mean, and so what happened was they go to arrest the initial guy who had the Rolls Royce claim, and they go to his house, and there's a bear costume on his couch.
It wasn't mine. I didn't put it there.
It's mine. It's not mine. So yes, all four of those people have been arrested. It's being dubbed Operation Bear Claw by the California Insurance Department.
That's funny. Well, I have to tell you, I belong to a Florida hiking page, and the Ocala National Forest has some bears, but usually they're smaller. This hiker came within 10 feet, went around a corner, and there was the biggest, fattest bear I've ever seen. He took a picture before he ran away, and it was an enormous bear. It was so big. I don't know what it ate, but it ate well. It was a big bear. Well, if people want to submit weird news, where do they do it?
They can send it to weirdnews@horseradionetwork.com.
Well, before we go for today, no post show today. We got some things we have to get accomplished today. I do. It's that time of year. But I did want to mention, we did our first interview. We can make that announcement now. Everybody knows the name Daniel Stewart. He's been coming on our shows for years. He's the horse sports psychologist and trainer, and he does clinics all over the country, and you've all heard of him. Well, we met his wife, and Daniel and his wife are joining us for the second hour of Radiothon, and it was an absolutely fascinating story of how they met, and an absolutely terrifying story of what their daughter does for a hobby. You'll find that out in Radiothon. Jamie knows what I'm talking about, and it was terrifying. And then the other one is, I had an opportunity to sit down. Last year, we gave tribute to Phil, who was one of our hosts for the dressage show that died of cancer rather suddenly, and a couple of other people we knew that died of cancer last year. This year, we wanted to switch the tables, and I had an opportunity to sit down with a couple of our listeners who've been longtime listeners, who both had breast cancer and have survived. So the three of us survivors sat down and talked about how there's hope, that things have changed now with cancer. And if you catch it early enough, there's hope. And, so we had a 31-year-old, a 44-year-old, and a 63-year-old. And we're going to play that during Radiothon 2. And they had some resources that you can go to. And we just thought, after last year, this year, we're going to switch the tables and talk about there is hope when you hear those three words that terrify the hell out of you. So we have some really cool things planned for this year's Radiothon. We can't mention the other guests that we have yet, right? Next week?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Next week. All right. So we'll talk about that next week, but a lot coming up. That's on December the 1st. So we look forward to talking to you all then. And I've been working on a fun little project on the side, and I think you were surprised. I sent pictures to you this morning.
I am very impressed.
My dad was a woodworker, and I think he'd be proud of this. Actually, my brother is a woodworker too. And I've done my fair share of woodworking in my time, and I decided I needed a little grill deck off the back of our house. And I built it myself, and it is the most solid deck I have ever seen. You could square dance on this thing, and the thing doesn't move. It's done.
And next week in Weird News, we're going to talk about a guy who was grilling on his deck, and his deck collapsed.
Or caught on fire. But I grilled on it last night, and it overlooks the barn and the field with the horses. So I was able to sit out there. It was just beautiful. I really enjoyed that. And I thought to myself, my dad would be proud. So he passed away like 20 years ago, but I would have sent him that in a minute, and he would have said, "You built that?" Just the same thing you said, actually. You did that yourself? So, yes, I did. I have other talents other than talking. It's my best talent, but I can build a deck, apparently. Don't ask me to put a roof on it, though, Jamie, because then I don't guarantee anything. I don't. Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining us. Tomorrow we have the Equine Affair episode, which we've recorded already. She got some fascinating interviews in Massachusetts when she was there. One of them was my favorite interviews I've heard all year. So you're going to have that tomorrow. And then Friday we have some really bad ads coming up. So send them in to Jennifer@horseradionetwork.com. All right, Jamie, be safe out there.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Spay, neuter, and gelt.